morning, everybody. Good morning and welcome to City Hall, welcome to Council Chambers, and welcome to a meeting of the Los Angeles City Council for today, Friday, August 2nd. The year is 2002. City Council meetings are open to the public, and there's plenty of you who have joined us for today's meeting. We welcome you and we thank you for participating. For people who cannot attend council meetings, we can also be viewed live from home on your cable station, Channel 35. We can be viewed live via webcast from the city's homepage, or we can be heard over council phone. We have yet to achieve a quorum. We have 6 members at the present time, and we need 10 for a quorum and to conduct any business. But this being Friday, as is customary, we have a number of presentations and special recognitions of individuals and groups within the city of Los Angeles. To conduct our first presentation, the chair recognizes Mr. Reyes.
Good morning, buenos dias, Council President, members. Before I start, I want to welcome to our chambers a great representative for the Council District 13, now Assembly Member, former Council Member Jackie Goldberg. Thank you for being here, Council. Members of the Council, I have a brief presentation to make to a visiting dignitary, the Honorable Edgar Yabes. Mr. Yabes is a municipal mayor of the municipality of Sinai, province of Ilocos Sur, Philippines. And I gotta say, we planned it this way, but it's a coincidence that we also are acknowledging Filipino town, so good timing, Councilman Garcetti. Mr. Edgar A. Yabes was sent by Ilocos Sur provincial government to study various city government issues in Los Angeles that could be adopted and implemented by Philippine cities. These issues include effective city governance and management techniques, cost-effective techniques for the efficient delivery of city services, tourism promotion strategies, planning tools and strategies for promoting sustainable economic development. On behalf of the City of Los Angeles, we welcome you, Mr. Yabes. Please, if I'd like to say a few words.
Good morning to this honorable august body, the City Council of Los Angeles. On behalf of the 24,000 people of the municipality of Sinai in the province of Ilocos Sur and from the Republic of the Philippines, I would like to say thank you. Maraming salamat po, Diyos tiagina, to all of you for this wonderful and once-in-a-lifetime event that came to my life for having me in this august hall of body, the City Council of Los Angeles. Once again, maraming salamat po, Diyos tiagina, and mabuhay to all of you.
I might add as a side note, one of his brothers, Mr. Yabes, is a former planning deputy who is now working with the city of Tempe. And good luck to you, Robert. My next presentation, members of the council, is currently a 5-year-old program at the Los Angeles Boys and Girls Club in Lincoln Heights, in which children ages 9 to 17 document their lives through black and white photography and attach their individual writings to each picture. Through this program, students receive cameras, learn to load film, take pictures and develop them, and then express their feelings about the images with their words. At the end of the project, from where I'm standing, the students create books of their own work like the one I'm holding here. As part of the program, the students took 4 field trips to the Huntington Library where they toured art galleries, visited the photography archives in the library, took a garden workshop, and photographed the gardens. While members of the council, it is my distinct pleasure and honor to let all of you know that for the first time, the finished books will be on display at the Huntington Library in San Marino. The exhibit, which opened Saturday and closes August 10th, is the first display of children's work featured at the Huntington Library. I'm not sure, some of you might have read in the LA Times newspaper, there was a real great article on some of the individual experiences. But I can tell you that as a person who grew up in Lincoln Heights and Cypress Park, who went to the Boys and Girls Club, it is with this kind of intervention, this kind of exposure, in which we give young people a sense of hope, a sense of dignity and self-esteem about how they can improve their lives despite the challenges they live through in neighborhoods that we need to improve. But it could also not have happened without the help and dedication of a number of people. And one of these people is Ms. Gail Brown, creator of the project, Ms. Brown. I'd like to thank her for what she has done for the children and give her a certificate and ask her to say a few words. Ms. Brown.
Thank you very much. Councilman Reyes has spoken very well of the program. I don't have to introduce the program. Thank you. I created the program in response to my concerns after the violence following the Rodney King violence back a long time ago. And I really wanted to see from the inside what kids were feeling and experiencing. And some of the kids I'm working with now are so young they don't remember back to Rodney King. It's just history to them. But I want to thank several organizations for what they've done. I want to thank the Los Angeles Boys and Girls Club and June Aiello for making this possible, for giving us a home, the project. And I want to thank the Huntington Library for showing this project and giving our young people a chance to be seen and heard in a way that they've never been seen and heard before. Kitty Connolly, Sue Lafferty, and Randy Schulman of the Huntington made it possible. And I want to thank the California Arts Council, without whose funding I would not be here. They have a wonderful artist in residence program that created this. Thank you.
Thank you, Gil, for your inspiration, but I also want to thank the folks at the Huntington Library for their role in giving the opportunity to the children to show their art. And they are Sue Lafferty, Nadine, and Robert A. Scotham, Director of Education, the Huntington Library Art Collections, Botanical Gardens. And let me find your cert. Okay. Mr. Scotham? Is Robert here? Okay. Okay. And Ms. Sue Nadine. Lafferty, I'm sorry.
As many of you know, at the Huntington we have world-class art. We have Gainsboroughs and Reynolds and Mary Cassatt's hanging on our walls. And I have to say that I've never been so proud of an exhibit. Now we have Juans and Ernestos and Glorias hanging on our walls, and they are some of the best art and certainly the most meaningful art that we've ever had at the Huntington. It's been such a pleasure to be involved in this program, and it's been a very important project for the Huntington to have been involved with. And I hope that all of you will come and see this very, very powerful exhibit. Thank you very much.
We do have certificates for Kitty Connolly, Mr. Scotham, and Randy Schulman. It's with great pleasure that I'd like to give the certificates to the Boys and Girls Club and to their dynamic leader, June Aiello. June.
Thank you, Councilman Reyes, and thank you for your unwavering support in everything that we do for the children of Northeast Los Angeles. One of the things that is very common for me in the course of my job is to be called upon to try to give a voice to these children that are standing behind me. What's incredibly unique about this particular project is that it calls upon the children to raise their own voices and then gives them a venue in which to do that. So I'm grateful to the Huntington, to Gail, and especially to the young people that I see behind me.
I have a large stack of certificates which we'll do in the back area where we will take photographs. But I'd like to challenge one of the young people who's brave enough to come up here and say a few words. All right.
Hi, my name is Yuvia Gomez, and I'm 13 years old. I've been in this project from where I'm standing for about 3 years, and I would like to read a passage from one of my books. It says, "Costumes. Everyone has one. Everyone wears one. Some people wear it sometimes, some wear it all the time. In costume, you can become anyone or anything you want to be. Since there are different costumes, it's hard to tell which one is the real person. But when you care for a person and they care back, they take off their costume and show their real beauty. I think costumes are necessary in the world, but I think the world could be a little better without them. Thank you."
Thank you very much for your great work. I can honestly say back, and I'm going to date myself, back in the late 60s, early 70s, I was walking those halls and playing those rooms just like you are today. And hopefully in 20, 15, maybe 10 years, we'll see you here as council members. Thank you. Yes. Yes. No, we did not choreograph this. Okay. Council members, Council President, I want to tell you about a very special service provided to our youth that's been generated by the Los Angeles Fire Department. This is a program about people, who they are, and what they've done to create opportunities for our youth. The Fire Academy is a program in partnership with the LA Fire Department, Los Angeles Valley College, and several Los Angeles Unified School District high schools. The success of this program is to motivate high school students and essentially provide them a way in which they can look at their future and entertaining the thought of going to college. Two individuals that have been instrumental in the creation and success of this program has been Mr. Randy Fong and John Burke. In 1998, two LA Fire Department firefighters and fire explorers volunteered their time to create a program to help youngsters in East Los Angeles to prepare for a career in the fire service. Mr. Randy Fong, a Roosevelt High School teacher, assisted by arranging school support to create the first ever Roosevelt Fire Academy. It was because of his dedication to his students that this program became into existence. The program changed the lives of many youngsters from East Los Angeles by helping to motivate the students to graduate from high school, but also continue on to college while being outstanding citizens in their community. Mr. Fong continued in his assistance with the development of this program, which has made its move to Los Angeles Valley College, and the program still continues to grow. In 1999, college administrators visited the Roosevelt Academy and were very impressed by quality instruction and excitement of the students to learn. Professor John Burke believed so strongly in the program, they invested his tech prep budget to create the first Los Angeles Valley College Fire Academy. By moving the program to the college, that small handful of volunteers were now able to reach a larger number of students. The fire department later requested a citywide program. Professor Burke was instrumental in opening the doors to other colleges such as Harbor, West Los Angeles, and most recently East Los Angeles. Eddie Moraz and Luis Montenegro began as fire explorers at Post 2 in 1992. As explorers, they serve the communities by participating in numerous events and projects like the March of Dimes, reading programs for elementary school children, assisting in Alley Fire Department recruitment expos, and creating their own Christmas toy program, giving toys to underprivileged youth in their community. The Los Angeles Fire Department in 1995 hired Eddie Mares as a firefighter. Eddie has continued to give back to his community by helping with department programs like recruitment and school outreach. He mentors youngsters in the community and serves as a role model. On his days off, he spends his time creating and working at the Roosevelt Fire Academy and later as the Los Angeles Valley Fire Academy. Luis Montenegro loves helping his community and serving as a role model. When asked to help create the Roosevelt Fire Academy, he never missed a day, even while working full-time and taking college classes. As a result of his hard work, expertise, and sincere desire to help youngsters, he has asked to assist when the program moved to Valley College. Mr. Montenegro has assisted in every fire academy at Valley College, functions as an invaluable asset through his enthusiasm, patience, and caring method. Rachel Rodriguez, without recognition or compensation, has been devoted to helping young people and achieving their dream of becoming a firefighter since 1992. She accompanied and assisted the Explorer program in numerous ways. Her skills actually helped build the foundation for the Academy. I would like to take this time to present each one of them a certificate. Professor John Burke.
Thank you, Councilman Reyes, for this great recognition. As with all successful endeavors, this was a team and is a team activity. 3 years ago, we started with Roosevelt High School and Monroe High School because from the very beginning, our goal was to develop a citywide program. We've expanded the program now to 3 other colleges, and last year served high school students from 17 high schools in the LA Unified School District. And this upcoming year, we're going to add a 5th college and hopefully serve 20-plus high schools. I really want to, I think this is an example of how a well-led city department can work effectively with school districts to develop meaningful after-school programs for high school students. These academies are the work-based component of a integrated, or that's an education term, career path that begins in grade 9 and continues all the way to Cal State LA to grade 16 through the Cal State LA Fire Technology Program. I want to thank especially Fire Chief William Bamatri for his support and his leadership. His dedication and his commitment that has made this program a success. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes. I know you have an additional presentation, but if you don't mind, let us take a quick pause in the program. We have achieved a quorum. I ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Vernson, Galanter, Garcetti, Gruel, Han, Holden, Labange, Miskowski, Pacheco, Perry, Reyes, with Thomas, Weiss, Stein, Padilla, 12 members present, and a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Members of the council, members of the public, there is a very brief council agenda before us today, only 11 items. If we can dispense with the business and return to presentations, I think that's the most efficient use of our time. Madam Clerk, first item, please.
First item, Mr. President, item notice for public hearing. Item number 1 is, approval of the minutes.
Mr. Garcetti moves, Mr. Reyes seconds.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Ms. Perry moves and Mr. Labange seconds.
On the regular agenda, item number 1 is an item notice for public hearing. It's a consideration of application for determination of public convenience or necessity in Council District 2. A motion is required to grant or deny the application.
Is there such a motion from the floor? From Council District 2? On item number 1?
I just a motion to move it forward. Approval.
Grant the application.
Yes,
Ms.
please.
Gruel moves approval. Members wishing to be heard, I do not have requests from members of the public to be heard on this item, so we shall deem public hearings open and closed. Madam Clerk, please open the roll on the approval of the application. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That is approved. Next
Item number 2 is also a public convenience or necessity in Council District 1, and I understand Mr. Reyes has a motion to continue it.
Yes, we'd like to continue to September 10th.
Okay, without objection, we shall continue to September 10th. That's item number 2. Next item, please.
Next items, Mr. President, items for which public hearings have been held, items 3 through 9. On the agenda, inadvertently, 2 items were included in that, and they should be in the have not been held section. So the only items in the have been held are items 3 through 9.
Items 3 through 9 now before us do not have requests from members of the public to be heard. Members of the council wishing to call any specials? Items 4 and 6, call special by Mr. Zine. Any other specials? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please open the roll on the balance of the items. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Those are approved.
And also, Mr. President, on item number 3, that is an ordinance, however, under Charter Section 1618B, that cannot be adopted on the first reading. That will be over for second reading to September 3rd.
So ordered. Next item, please.
Next items, Mr. President, items for which public hearings have not been held, items 10 through 11.
And I do not have requests from members of the public to be heard on these items, so the public hearings shall be deemed satisfied. Members wishing to call either items 10 or 11 special? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please open the roll. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Those are approved. I believe that is the end of our agenda. We've had 2 items called special by Mr. Zine, items 4 and 6. We shall leave those on the desk and return now to presentations. Mr. Reyes, thank you very much.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you, council members, for your patience. In this fire department presentation, I appreciate the pause. This gives me a chance to amplify who I'm going to present. This person that I want to present has been the person with the vision, his dedication and relentless effort of one man in particular, and his name is Ralph Rodriguez. And I'm proud to say that he grew up in my district, Cypress Park to be exact. Ralph was the person who had the dream of this academy. He is the one that pulled the money from his own pocket to make it happen. And he is the one that had no clue that we planned on honoring him today as well. And so with Ralph, please step on up and have a few words.
Well, thank you very much. It's really easy to accomplish things like this when you surround yourself with quality people. And ever since I worked in the east side of Los Angeles, I met some outstanding young people who had dreams, and I believed in them, and now they're all coming true, joining the ranks of the Los Angeles City Fire Department. And so my rewards are every time I pin a badge on one of these youngsters, and hopefully this will continue to grow, and my dreams will be fulfilled. Thank you, Councilman Reyes, for your tremendous support, and all the council members who supported our department in all these endeavors. Thank you very much.
Last but not least, I truly wanted to acknowledge the Chief Mamachi. Without him, without his support, his dedication, this would not happen. Chief Mamachi.
I want to thank Councilman Reyes for taking the opportunity, but I didn't want to let the opportunity go by without getting a chance to recognize apparatus operator Ralph Rodriguez. And it's especially timely, as I happen to notice that a good friend of ours, Assemblywoman Jackie Goldberg, and former councilwoman, and she probably came back to haunt us. One of the things that she worked on with us in her role as Personnel Committee was the consent decree. And after she left, to the credit of the entire department and the city, the consent decree, not by our request, but the consent decree was lifted because we had achieved our goals. And there's a lot of concern about staying on that goal and continuing to achieve that. It's people like Ralph that give me confidence that that's going to happen. Ralph's been on our department for over 20 years. He's not a person that ever complains. He just provides. He accomplishes things. The program that Mr. Burke is here for, and for many of you council members, you'll recognize a couple of other members of Ralph's family. His daughter Monica over here worked in the mayor's office, Councilman Mike Hernandez's office, and one other council office. Richard Alicone's office. Rachel, who we're honoring today, his other daughter, is very involved in this program here. So it's a family, it's a city family, grew up in the city, part of the fire department that continues to give back to the fire department. And this program that Councilman Reyes is recognizing today, the fire program, that's a seed that's been planted 2 or 3 years ago. We're not going to reap the harvest from that seed and that program, but that will be something that will be serving us for years to come. Eddie Mars here, who is a product of that program and now is been mentored by Ralph, is taking over that program and helping us with that program, and it's really an accomplishment, and I appreciate the recognition today, but it's recognition for a program, for the department, but for some individuals that have been very instrumental for the city for a number of years. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Chief. Councilmembers, one last presentation, and I hope they're here. Okay. Still got June, so. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, okay. All right.
Council members, when I started this journey 12 months ago, I kept bringing up the issue of the original suburbs and how rich we are as a city that's evolved over so many decades, and how 3 of the original city boundaries are in District 1. So I have this mantra, home of the original suburbs. And I use the word suburbs because it's important for us to start changing the image of ourselves. We are one city, we are suburbs, we have grown, and we have changed. But we have some very, very strong persons who have been committed to the city of Los Angeles. And I have a very special person in the chambers today. Anyone who knows Highland Park knows Mr. John Neese. For the past 100 years, the Neese family has been doing business in Los Angeles. For the past 50 years, they have operated the locally renowned Galco's Old World Market. At Galco's, Mr. Neese created the first ever soda pop stop, which is a vibrant new business with more than 425 unique historic lines of sodas and beers from all over the world. Today's soda pop stop is now a destination for people throughout the world who specifically visit Highland Park to enjoy these unique products and receive shipments from the stores of Highland Park's address. But that's not all he does. Mr. Neese is also well known for contributions as historic preservationist for homes in Highland Park. He has assisted in saving structures in the area, works very closely with the members of the Highland Park Heritage Trust. To say that Mr. Neese and the Neese family in particular are a mainstay in Highland Park would be a vast understatement. I think one of the critical issues, and Mr. Neese did this with, he's had several shows, several documentaries, coverage in all kinds of newspapers. And if you remember that soda pop when you were a kid, come to John Neese and you'll find it. So with great satisfaction and much appreciation, I'd like to provide this resolution of Mr. Neese and his family for all his great work. And I'd like to thank him for taking the time to come into the council today, knowing that someone has to mind the shop. Mr. Neese.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. On behalf of myself and my entire family who have been in Los Angeles and lived in Los Angeles for over 100 years, we'd like to thank the City Council and the honorable council members. I'd like to especially thank Councilman Reyes, who smoothed the way so many years ago to help in that house move. If you know what it is to go through city bureaucracy, you know what it is. And boy, we got through it great. We'd also like to invite the City Council up to have a meeting at our place. We've had just a phenomenal success with this. And this is something that is developing into a generator throughout all of, not just Los Angeles, but probably the United States. We're moving soda pop stop across the country. And so, thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. And by the way, the last time I was in here, about 30 years ago, I wanted to get an alley paved, and it didn't work. But I'm happy today. Thank you.
Thank you, council members.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes, for your presentations. Members of the council, as has been acknowledged, we do have a special guest with us today, and I believe she'll be part of the next presentation. Let's welcome back now Assembly Member Jackie Goldberg, and let me recognize Councilmember Eric Garcetti for the next presentation.
And if Council Members Pacheco and Reyes will join me. Somebody wants to come? We'll wait for Councilmember Reyes and Pacheco. Colleagues, members of the public, it is a joy and an honor today. I don't know if we can get the camera to pan down a little bit here, or maybe you guys can hold the sign up. To celebrate the establishment in the city of Los Angeles of historic Filipino town. There you see it. We'll hold it up again later. I should have started with Mabuhay. This celebration today marks so many years of Filipino history in the United States of America and in this land. While we are a collection of many, many people here today who have played a small part in this creation, we must hearken even further back today to look at what we are celebrating. In 1587, a full 50 years before Jamestown was settled, there were Filipinos here in the New World. Many of them were forced to work on Spanish galleons. In California, they first landed in Morro Bay. Luzon Indians, they were referred to. In 1763, here then in the colonies, the first folks that came from the Philippines settled in Louisiana. Manila men, they were referred to at the time. In the bayous and the marshes of Louisiana, they established a permanent presence here from the earliest days of this land's history. And here in the city of Los Angeles, one of the original pobladores, Antonio Miranda Rodriguez, was one of the 44 individuals in 1781 who came to our city and who established this city, El Pueblo de Nuestra Reina de Los Angeles. We have had many waves of immigration of Filipinos to Los Angeles, to California, and to the United States. And in the new census, Filipino Americans are the largest Asian American ethnic group in the United States of America. The first wave started really after 1812, a second wave from 1906 to 1934, shared a common past with many of our Latino brothers and sisters who also experienced Spanish colonialism. In 1926, and throughout the Great Depression, the Filipino-American community faced great hardships. They were added to the anti-miscegenation laws. They were told that they couldn't live in many parts of our city. There were signs that said, no dogs and no Filipinos allowed. And yet the proud history of the Filipino people here, first settling downtown near Bunker Hill and moving on from Little Tokyo and into what has now been referred to as Temple Beaudry or Temple Beverly. It is that area today really where the wave that came after World War II of immigration settled in what we are calling historic Filipino town. So many great Filipinos served in the United States Armed Services. As I've shared with this body before, my own grandfather fought in the Philippines in World War II alongside many of them. And my own grandfather, who was Mexican at the time, received his citizenship. And for the many veterans who have not received the benefits they were promised by the city, we finally have some light at the end of the tunnel this year with the House passing a benefits bill for health care for Filipino American veterans, Filipino veterans. 50 years late. A third wave from 1945 to 1965 of immigration, and then after the Immigration Act of 1965, really up to 20,000 Filipinos a year enter the United States in the fourth wave after 1965. As I mentioned, they are now the biggest Asian American group in the United States, but when you go to different cities and you see how many Chinatowns there are and little Tokyos, there's a dearth of recognition of this cultural heritage. It would have been easy for us to put these signs up the first day that I was in office. We can direct the city to do so, but we wanted these signs to represent something. And so George Villanueva from my staff, Chito Tenza, and members of the community, both Filipino and non-Filipino, spent 1 year doing focus groups with business groups, with senior citizens, with young people, with residents, with non-Filipinos and Filipinos, to talk about what area and what sort of projects and what future historic Filipino town could have. So today it is the corridor of Temple Beverly, in Council District 13 and Council District 1 previously as well, that this remains still a port of entry for the Filipino American community and for so many immigrants. And it possesses that vibrant energy that all of us celebrate and recognize today. In addition, though, today, let us remember the past efforts of people like John Ferraro, our great council president, who had a signed Filipino town many years ago, but unfortunately we were never able to recognize the promise of actually putting it up. Of people like Connie Guerrero and thousands of others who did the research and the time to look into the history of Filipinos in Los Angeles. And then this new group that has come together who we seek to recognize today. Before I turn over the microphone to Assemblymember Goldberg and to my two other colleagues, I want to say just something from my heart, that this represents so many more people than we see here today. As overwhelming as your presence is and your participation has been, the contributions of Filipinos in America, from Agapito Flores, who invented the fluorescent light bulb here in the United States in the 1940s, Eduardo San Juan, who helped design the dune buggies that was on the moon, and I could go on and on and on. The contributions of Filipinos in America are grand, wide, and great. And that is what we celebrate today, that they have a historic home, a heart for their community, a place where all Filipinos are welcome and will continue to prosper and flourish. So I'd like to ask Jackie Goldberg to step forward. Mabuhay ang Nagay Filipino. Mabuhay ang Nagay Filipino Town. Jackie Goldberg.
Thank you. I'm thrilled that I could be here to join in this celebration and to just add my congratulations to all of you who've made this possible. And now that you've passed a resolution doing this here, that will allow me to take it to the state to have Caltrans mark an exit on the freeway north and southbound on the 101 to let people know where they can get off to see Filipino Town. I'd like to say it will happen quickly, but we don't even have a budget yet, so what can I tell you? But it will happen, And I also, too, want to just say that it is a community that may have stars that have done these particular things, but on a day-to-day basis, it's a community that values education, it's a community that values family, that values music and art and literature, that has libraries, that has teachers. You can go into every Filipino family that I've ever met, there's at least one that's a school teacher or a school employee. It values those things that are important to this city. And because it does that, because there are these basic values in this community, it's an important part of the fabric of Los Angeles, and I'm very happy to be here to congratulate everybody on this wonderful day.
Thank you, Jackie. I'd like to ask Councilmember Reyes to join us up here next. I also want to recognize the Acting Consul General from the nation of the Philippines, Ruth Prado, who is here, and also the Mayor of Walnut Hill, Tony Cartagena, who is here as well. Thank you for joining us.
I want to congratulate Councilmember Garcetti for his leadership in making sure this happens to our Filipino community, Councilmember Nick Pacheco for all his support. In many ways, the healthiest thing we can do is conduct ourselves in a manner where we can act as if we don't have political boundaries. The Filipino community abounds and stretches out throughout many neighborhoods. I've had the pleasure of working with some great people, Gerald Gubatan from my office when we used to work together back in the planning department in the previous council office. Today I have Ruby De Vera from my office, works with Northeast Democratic Club. And so we have leaders. I know we have a strong presence in our city family and various departments. So it is only appropriate, and it's about time that we acknowledge the richness of our history of our city and through the richness of the Filipino community. Thank you very much for everything you've done.
Councilmember Reyes, Councilmember Pacheco.
Mr. President, colleagues, I just wanted to commend Councilmember Garcetti for completing a lot of the work that was started by Ferraro, Goldberg, and by all the Latino, and all the Filipino community leaders who have been working on this for so long. I want to thank you for sticking to it and commend you for your persistence. And we all know that the Filipino community is throughout Los Angeles. We have a great representation in the Eagle Rock, Highland Park area with Philippine Village right there on Eagle Rock Boulevard. And so for my constituents and for all of us who are representatives in the city of Los Angeles, I just want to congratulate you all for making this happen to us here in Los Angeles. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pacheco, Mr. Garcetti. I want to recognize Mr. Holden for a few words.
Mr. President, members, I too want to congratulate Ms. Garcetti and Ms. Goldberg, Ms. Pacheco, and the entire Filipino community. This historic identification is really long overdue. I remember many years ago when I was a member of the California State Senate, you all remember, where the Filipino community was not receiving their proportionate share of benefits as it relates to that which was going to minority communities based on their surname. And they asked the legislature at that time, which I supported, carried the legislation for them, to identify as a separate category the Filipino community as a minority in the state of California. And that was done. The other thing, Mr. President, that they are asked for and that they needed, now we all are benefiting as a state and as a nation, they asked that we make some adjustments in our examination for nurses, because in the Philippines, they train there a large number of nurses, and in every single hospital, not only in California today, but throughout our country, you have a nurse, the chances are 50% of the chance she will be from the Philippines and a Filipino nurse giving the kind of service that you need. And lastly, Mr. President, members, that it's been my privilege as a state senator to represent part of the community, as a city council person when I was first elected to represent part of the community. And I just want you to know that your contribution to this city and to this state cannot be measured in terms of financial and whatever the case may be, but your kindness and your overwhelming of support. I might add one other comment, and that is the doctors. When the Filipino doctors were trained in the Philippines, as the nurses are, they could not be admitted to our health care facilities. They could not be trained as interns. They were not permitted, but they were arbitrarily denied. And I want to let you to know that it was Kenny Hahn, Janet's father, who said, "Nate, do it." And so the first hospital, some of the doctors out there, and right, and then we also had the Dr. Gatos was one of the first ones to go through the program. And since that time, there's been many Filipino doctors been trained at Martin Luther King Hospital, the only hospital that would receive them at that time to become medical doctors. And that was due to a guy that you all know. His name is Kenny Hahn, and we all made it happen. And I want to congratulate you for doing a job well done.
Mr. Labange, followed by Ms. Galanter.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of council. Magandang umaga. It's great to see this accomplishment, Councilman Garcetti, Councilman Reyes, Councilman Pacheco, and I got a little Filipino town in redistricting, so I want to congratulate you for your effort. But the wait is worth it. Hold the sign up again. One more time, please. This is the longest sign of any neighborhood in the city of Los Angeles. So he who waits gets the longest sign. But also, I want to salute a great American, a great city employee, a great Filipino American. Please welcome right here. Clap for this man. He is the senior map maker for all the city of Los Angeles, Jerry Del Rosia. Give Jerry a big hand. I got to correct my Tagalog. Jerry Del Jerry Del Rosario, the greatest map maker in the history of the city of Los Angeles. He did all the redistricting maps. Thank you, Jerry. Great to have you here.
Ms. Galanser.
I don't have a long history in this, but I want to congratulate two more people. We should not neglect Ms. Goldberg's role in this when she was on the city council, because Mr. Garcetti was lucky enough to inherit an effort that was already underway. And I think it's worth taking note of Ms. Goldberg's contributions toward this effort and her responsiveness. I also wanted to mention one more of our Filipino Los Angeles city family, because I'm not sure that all of you here know that our city facilities recycling program, the one that produces these the yellow containers where you're supposed to put the cans and bottles, actually was made real through the efforts of Susana Reyes, who is now working over at the Department of Water and Power. But if it weren't for her, we wouldn't have the kind of program that we have here today. And so that's another one that's recent history, but it's another one that you should be very proud of, as we are. Congratulations to all of you.
Mr. President, we have, I would like to present certificates of recognition to the folks that made this possible. I'm going to go through their names quickly if you'll hold your applause, and please give them applause at the end. Joel Jacinto, Teresa Valiente, Susan Makindang, Loretta Trinidad, Amanda Bueno, Enrico Busan, Eric Cunillo, Fender Santos, from our own city family as well, Ye Coronel, Michelle Magalong, and from the organizations, we'd like to present certificates of thanks to the Search to Involve Filipino Americans, the Filipino American Service Group Incorporated, the Filipino Workers Center, Filipino Town Incorporated with Jay Valencia as the mayor, Filipino American National Historical Society, Los Angeles chapter, and also to my staff members, again, George Villanueva and Achito Tenza. At this point, I'd like to turn over the microphone to somebody who actually is Filipino after all of us have been speaking. Joe Abella is going to say a few words on the significance of this. Please welcome him.
Mr. President, member of the City Council, and especially to Eric Garcetti, I thank you and the Filipino community in the entire city of Los Angeles, the state of California, and all over the world, thank you. This is a long time coming. 40 years have passed since we first tried to make one strip of Los Angeles as Filipino town. We've gone through different steps. The first step was that when it was first organized, the 110 freeway stopped the movement of the Filipino to declare this area as Filipino town. The Filipinos were cut in half because they were part of the freeway development. Again, John Ferraro, who was then city councilman of the city of Los Angeles, moved forward with the assistance of several Filipino leaders in the community. Midingiaga and several others, Roy Morales from SIPA, they were very instrumental in trying to get the Filipino town organized. But finally, it took a young councilman, a real young councilman, to get the dream of the Filipinos come true. And we all thank Eric Garcetti for this. I lived here in the city of Los Angeles for the last 40 years and worked with a lot of city council individuals. Of course, one of them is Nate Holden. Well, I won't tell how old he is. But people in the community have tried so hard to work with the city to get this dream come true. Once again, I think Eric knows more about the Philippine history than I do, so I'm not going to dwell into that. He is truly, at heart, a Filipino. But before I leave this podium, I'd like to make 3 wishes. And I've always been a dreamer in my life. My first dream was to have the Filipinos identified as Filipinos in the United States. And we were successful in doing that. It went into the U.S. Census. Thanks to Nate Holden again, who was one of the guys that voted for it. In the state of California. And then the other thing that we were working on is that to get funds for the Filipino community. We were also successful in that, in getting some funds for SIPA. At one time, it was a $2 organization. Now it's a multi-million-dollar organization working with kids and also young adults and also people that are new here in this country. So I'm glad I've seen that. And I hope I see some more of new developments to come up. I think I have a few more years in my life. But one thing that I would like to ask the Filipino leaders that are here today. Unity is strength. And in strength, there's unity. I would like to ask the Filipino to unify, and one of these days, I'd like to see a Filipino American sit one of those chairs and be a part of the city of Los Angeles. The other thing that I would like to dream about, and I think the city council can do something about it, and this is a dream. We have a street called Temple Street in Los Angeles. One of these days, I'd like to see that name checked to Eric Garcetti's Street. Thank you very much.
And I'd like to also ask Jocelyn Gallego-Rosenthal to speak as well for a moment, with your indulgence. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. President, honorable members of the City Council, I was asked to say a few words undoubtedly because I represent my late mother, Remedios Giaga, who would probably be here herself and probably is anyway. She often introduced herself in most gatherings as quote-unquote concerned citizen. I often chided her silently from the sidelines, saying to myself, "Oh, Mom, that's so quaint." As I look back, that spirit of concern permeated her work and infected many of us who had the fortune to work with her and around her. She had the dream of a Filipino town, and she dedicated many years to caring for the community that we recognize today. On her behalf, and on behalf of many of us who shared that dream, I want to express my deep appreciation to Councilman Eric Garcetti and his staff, who responded to a deep yearning that has gone undetected for most part for many years, because in truth, the many fellow Filipinos who toil in the trenches for the betterment of our community do so quietly, without any pomp and circumstances, but only because they are truly concerned citizens. It is a grand day for us indeed, more grand than many can appreciate or comprehend. It tells me that the leaders of our great city recognize the stamp that Filipino Americans have made in the evolution of our beloved Los Angeles. 2 years ago, I had a chance meeting with a young Filipino woman, resident of Australia, who was here for a 2-month stay in Hollywood with her Australian writer-actor boyfriend. This young, hip lady from a faraway land, right away upon learning that I was Filipino-American, pressed me for directions to, quote, Temple Street, you know, where the Filipino town is? I was dumbfounded. But upon further reflection, it shouldn't be surprising that the writings of Carlos Bulusan about his days in Los Angeles, the writings of Uncle Roy Morales about P-Town, and more recently, the writings of our beloved Valerie Bejarano about her youthful days as a Temple Street brat have made it half across the globe. I close with an invitation to my fellow concerned citizens to join hands with the rich diversity of peoples that makes up this great experiment called Los Angeles in the year 2002 and help our leaders here truly make it a great Los Angeles enterprise. Mabuhay.
Colleagues, I know that this presentation has been almost as long as this sign is, and I promise I won't make some presentations for a few weeks to come, but I do think we should hear from the State of the Philippines. Please welcome Consul General Prado.
On behalf of the government of the Republic of the Philippines, the officers and staff of the Philippine Consulate General in Los Angeles, I would like to express my deepest appreciation to Mayor James Han, LA City Council President Alex Padilla, the distinguished members of the Los Angeles City Council, particularly Councilman Eric Garcetti, a true friend of the Filipino community in Los Angeles, for this resolution declaring the Beverly Temple Streets corridor as the historic Filipino town. This is a great recognition of the unified and vibrant existence of the Filipino community in Los Angeles. I would like also to commend the hard work of the distinguished Filipino community leaders, the officers and members of the different Filipino-American organizations for making this dream a reality. Thank you for collaborating with the members of this august body and Mr. Garcetti in making sure that in the year 2002, a historic Filipino town in the city of Los Angeles will be designated. The Philippine Consulate General in Los Angeles pledges to work closely with the officials of this beautiful city, particularly in the field of trade and industry between the Philippines and Los Angeles. Maraming salamat po at mabuhay!
If anybody would like to join us in the Rotunda, we also have the unprecedented event of having about 90% of Filipino food restaurants and distributors providing great food in there for the first time. This was made possible by the efforts of Cecilia de Castro. We'd like to extend our thanks to her. Mabuhay ang mga Filipino, and we look forward to you celebrating with us in Filipino Town. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Garcetti. Let's give the community just a minute or two to take a few pictures and proceed out to the rotunda for the reception. Following the pictures and the procession, our next presentation will be conducted by Councilmember Perry.
Stand next to me. Come here. Get up, honey. Yes, whatever. I'll wait till they sort of clear out. Well, you do it right, girl. Sorry. Okay. All right. I guess it's okay to start. Okay. Mr. President, I'm going to begin my presentation. I'm very pleased to introduce a special
individual here with us today who was introduced to me by one of our city's area planning commissioners, Beverly Ziegler, here to my left. As many of you know Beverly for many years as a, shall I say, larger-than-life personality and political activist. Beverly introduced me to a man named David Frank, and David Frank is a very special individual because David is a survivor of probably one of the most heinous crimes ever committed against the citizens of the United States in our lifetime. He's faced fear and tragedy, and he's here today to share with you. David is a resident of Los Angeles and is in account sales and management for a computer company. On September the 11th, he was at the World Trade Center to present his company's project to one of his corporation's major New York accounts. As we all know, this was a horrendous day that we will never forget. David and two of his colleagues went through an ordeal that defies description, witnessed a number of life-transforming events, and were lucky and blessed enough to reach safety, and that is why he's here today. And I've asked David to come here today to just take a few moments and share his story because it is so incredible and so inspirational that I thought we could all benefit greatly from his positive energy. So I'd like to introduce David Frank.
Mr. President, members of the City Council, my dear friend Beverly Ziegler, and dear friends in attendance, I want to congratulate as well the Filipino community. I'm very happy for you. And I want to make a particular mention to the Los Angeles Fire Department. It's an honor to be in your presence. Time doesn't permit a lengthy explanation or description of what I went through that day. I wrote a narrative which has traveled the world and been read by millions and published in Reader's Digest. It's also going to be published in a major book here soon under the guise of a New York Times editorial writer, along with 49 other survivor stories. So in case you're interested in reading the narrative, it's quite compelling. Councilwoman Perry has a copy of that and can forward a copy of that to you. On September 11th at 8:45, my colleague Mike Hinkson and myself, Mike is blind at birth, with his guide dog Roselle, we're on the 78th floor of the World Trade Center, the first tower to be hit. The plane, and I can't, like I said, I can't go into a lot of detail because time limits it, but some of the more compelling images of the day began at 8:45 when the plane entered the building on the north side. Our offices were on the south side of the tower, and the plane hit with such force that it actually pushed the building over dramatically. We literally thought the building was going to break in half at that point. We were able to make it, I'm making a long story short here, we were able to make it, okay. The impact was phenomenal. The plane simply went through the entire structure, vivisecting the building and throwing a shower of glass out our side of the structure, along with tens of thousands of pieces of paper. All the lights went out, of course, and the building groaned fantastically. We had to brace ourselves from falling into the windows just because the building was leaning so much, and the building then yanked all the way back to the other side, like a reed in the wind. We made it to the doorway of the stairwell. There was utter chaos on our floor, on the 78th floor. Lots of smoke and what turned out to be a strong odor of jet fuel. I thought it was gasoline. In fact, I thought the first explosion was just some kind of a gas explosion. But we made it to the stairwell, and I'm going to skip over what happened in the stairwell just for a moment. The second compelling image I want to share with you today is when we did finally get to the bottom, 50 minutes later. That's 50 minutes later, which we had to walk down the stairs. We are only a block and a half away when the South Tower, as you know, the South Tower is the first tower to fall. And the South Tower fell only, like I said, a block and a half away, and this 300-foot cloud of madness came rushing at us and overtook us. And the street went completely black. And I can't exaggerate these statements. The street literally was completely black. Somehow we managed to go what turned out to be into a stairwell that led us to a subway, And we didn't know it was a subway entrance because the cloud was just filling up every hole imaginable. We went down into the stairwell, and at that moment, this was yet another moment during the hour and a half, 2 hour of the immediate danger, which we thought, and I thought we were absolutely going to perish, that we had no chance. But somehow we kept going, and a gentleman by the name of Lou appeared in the subway, and in the midst of all the madness in this dark area, he pointed out a room to us down the hallway, which turned out to be a janitor room. And this janitor room had no particulates in the air, and there was a water fountain in there and a fan. So it was like an oasis for us. Several police officers appeared and were fierce, just incredibly angry at that point. I didn't quite understand it until days later that they were terrified that the other tower was about to fall, and everybody had to get out of the area. So we made our way to the street, and again, I'm not going to go into all the detail. The narrative is quite complete of how we made our way across town, past the bridges, past the phenomenal sight of thousands and thousands of people exiting the city on the Manhattan and Brooklyn bridges, and then glancing back as we approached Chinatown at the terrible sight of just a hole where those towers should have been, and the phenomenal fire. But I want to return, I want to leave you with the reason why I'm here. And the reason why I'm here is because of the sacrifice of the firemen. As we were coming down the steps, the people of New York, the so-called rude New Yorkers, noticed my colleague's condition. I was in front of him, and they noticed Mike's condition, that he was blind, and they said, everyone move to the right, and we walked down the left, and all those rude New Yorkers didn't say anything that day. In fact, there was very little said in the stairwell. There was thousands of people in a traffic jam in the stairwell, and we were able to walk down to the left. Around the 40s, we met our first hero of the day. He was a New York City Fire Department individual. I don't know his name. I wish I did. They were dressed in all this fire gear, heavy hat, heavy coat, heavy pants, heavy boots, just a phenomenal amount of gear, carrying lengths. This one was carrying an axe at that point, and he was leaning over the stairwell. And understand, there are 2 stairwells for each floor in a zigzag pattern. So each staircase had about 20 steps, and this gentleman had already gone up 40 floors or 80 flights of stairs, and he was on his way to the 90th floor, and he was draped over the railing, and he looked up at us, and all he said to us was, "Are you okay?" That's all he said to us. And we had this conversation with literally 30 to 45 firemen on our way down to safety. We never heard a complaint. And it's interesting to note what they did not say. And they did not ask us for our nationality or our social class or whether we had a criminal record or anything about us. They simply gave their lives for us, for the likes of me. And they would have given their lives for the likes of every one of you as well. And I believe that they did it strictly because they saw us as being human, and it was good enough for them. And I would like to suggest that perhaps someday it becomes good enough for us too. One final thought. As we had escaped to Midtown to a woman friends of mine near NYU, we had to wait for a little while, and we were covered with all this gray ash. And a gentleman came up to me and invited me to come up to his apartment to see if we could use his phone, and failing that, I was leaving his apartment, and his name was Pete, by the way. And he looked at me and he said, "David, you've been given a new life today. Don't waste it." So I suggest that's a good thing for us to consider too, that we don't waste it. Thank you very much for having me here today.
Thank you very much, although thank you doesn't seem to be adequate. Thank you. And I have one more presentation, Mr. President. I want to recognize the city staff who worked on the development of the new Caltrans building. If they would come forward and stand behind me, that would be Rita Robinson, Wayne Garcia, William Halverson, and Deborah Whitwer. David Pascal, Reginald Byron Jones Sawyer, Robert Holloway, Linda Johnson, Philip Tondrell, all right, Frank Kobashi and Dan Herrera. From the City Attorney's Office, Timothy Williams and Susan Fan. From the CLA, Jerry Miller, Catherine Garcia, Maria Sousa Roundtree. All right, come on, Jerry, we love you too. Come on up here. Just because you have a fancy desk job doesn't mean you don't work hard. It's my pleasure, and I'm very proud to thank city staff because they were so integral in the development of the new Caltrans 7 building right in front of our city hall, and is currently under construction in the probably what will be the fastest time ever. This project is a great example of the vision and strong partnership between governmental agencies that has resulted in something positive for all of us in the region, the state, the county, and the city, and in our downtown community. Caltrans needed a new building to replace its existing local headquarters, and the City of Los Angeles wanted to provide assistance to create something that benefited not only Caltrans, but the operation of all of city government and the Civic Center as a whole. We're talking about government efficiency and shared facilities. When this project is completed, not only will Caltrans have a beautiful new building, but the city's Department of Transportation will also be in this new facility, taking full advantage of the close physical proximity to our state transportation partners. Additionally, this construction brings a much-needed facelift to an intersection frequented by us, pedestrians, and just a high volume of street traffic. It's the gateway to the Civic Center. And I'm pleased to be a part of this development in the area because it continues our effort to revitalize downtown, reduce blight, and enhance downtown for the benefit of the rest of the city. All of these individuals behind me have worked very hard and will continue to work hard to ensure the success of this important project. And I just wanted to recognize all of them today and to thank them and to commend their very, very, very worthy efforts. So thank you very much to all of you. All right, they're all shy and humble, so thank you very much.
Ms. Galanter?
Before you all leave, I think it's worth noting that one of the other important aspects of that building is that both the state and the city have committed special attention to making sure that every sustainable building practice we can think of is incorporated in that. So we have multiple layers of innovation that we can be very proud of. And I hope that it's the beginning of a long relationship between the state and the city where we can work together on projects like this.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Labange.
Mr. President, congratulations, Jan Perry, and all those who've worked, especially Rita Robinson at a time that she was the interim general manager of DOT, but everybody. My only complaint, what's my only complaint? Kosher burrito.
Oh, brother.
All right. Where's kosher burrito? Anyway, I think it's great. I was at a community meeting last night, and I think one of the important things about when you put people together, and what you spoke of, Jan, about the opportunity to put people together from the state and from the city, is the synergy that happens in the hallways, in the corridors, of people working together to come up with great solutions to keep California moving and keep Los Angeles moving safely. Congratulations, all of you. And the only order I have from council is to share this with your families over the weekend about the importance you did, and show them the hole that's there. One day will be a big, beautiful building. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Perry. Mr. Garcetti for a brief introduction.
Mr. Godfrey? Good job. Colleagues, it gives me great joy today to be able to celebrate one of the heroes in our community. Richard Godfrey, who is an art teacher who has impacted the communities that Councilmember Labange and I both represent. This certificate recognizes his time and devotion to the citizens of Los Angeles through his art classes and training. From his early days at San Francisco Art Institute to your present in-residency teaching at the prestigious Idlewild Arts Summer Program, which has been a focal point of young students in the area, we commend you. We also commend you for all your work that spawned the creation of the Regan Art Academy for middle school-aged youths and the mentoring of these youths. And this academy is currently located at the alma mater of the great Tom Labange, the great John Marshall High School, and at Canoga Park Youth Arts Center. We also want to commend you for your shared talents with innumerable community groups as a teacher, lecturer, and board member at the Barnsdall Junior Arts Center, which is such a jewel and is undergoing an extensive renovation right now, a multi-million-dollar renovation. Your art and creation, Richard, have been a part of countless shows and gallery displays throughout the whole state of California, and as far away as Denver, Colorado, Pyeongtaek, Korea, and Kyushu, is that right? Japan, all right. Which is proven itself of what a great talent you have. The City of Los Angeles commends you and is proud to have you as a resident mentor of our youth. Because of you, the city will always be a step ahead when it comes to art. Thank you. I want to also turn over the microphone to Councilmember Labange, and also wanted to have a quick word from Isaac Burks, friend of Mr. Godfrey.
Good. Thank you, Councilman Garcetti. Richard, thank you. Art makes the world go round. It's an important component. Even in that building we just spoke of, there's going to be art in that building to help those people who do the work to be inspired. So I just want to congratulate you and thank you also for all the work you do at Barnsdall and John Marshall High too.
Yes,
okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Isaac Burks, off-duty firefighter.
Thank you, Mr. President, City Council, members of the staff, citizens of Los Angeles. There's an old story that states that behind every good man, there's also a good woman. I would like to introduce Richard Godfrey's wife, Annette Jensen Godfrey, from this country of Denmark. Annette is one of the lead architects on the new cathedral right across the street here, so she should be recommended also for her achievements. Also with us today, we have the director of the Barnsdall Art facility over in Eric Garcetti's district, Miss Melissa Dobar. And please, Miss Dobar, have a word.
I want to thank the President, the council people, and for their support of the arts programs for youth in the city. Especially, I want to honor Richard Godfrey for creating the Reagan Art Academy, which is the only program of its kind in Los Angeles for middle school-aged children, and also recognize the director of our program and distinguished board member, Michael Hughes, for his contribution as well. Thank you very much.
I just want to briefly express the pleasure of receiving this honor. Thank you, Councilman Garcetti, City Council. It's been with great pleasure to be able to serve the community of Los Angeles, and in particular, the youth, in providing these much-needed educational opportunities in the arts. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That way so you can see it. Take a quick picture. There we go. Put it artistically up.
Thank you, Mr. Garcetti. Our next presentation will be conducted by Councilmember Labange.
Yeah. Hello again, everybody. Mr. President, members of council, I have a special presentation for one of our 68 branch libraries. They had a wonderful celebration recently off of Melrose Avenue in my district, not far from the great 5th District that Councilmember Weiss supervises. but the John C. Fremont Branch Library celebrated a wonderful, wonderful term of over 75 years of service. And in that last presentation at Caltrans, why I talked about the family members to show them take the children down to see the big hole that they're building for that big building, because I brought in my favorite book that I got from the Los Angeles Public Library, Mike Mulligan and his steam shovel, and we all know how Mary Ann and Big Mike saved Popperville and built the town square. Jack White also liked that book there. So I didn't make the connection there, but so much is done in our libraries as a place where children, where families, where adults, where senior citizens go to learn about life through reading, through the experience. And these librarians here, including the children's librarian, who also was a superstar activist for many years, Marjorie Hopper, Denise, I want to say this correctly, Nassett, who is the manager and branch manager for Fremont Branch, and also Jean Chernev, who is head of the Friends of the Libraries. And we all need friends, and there's no better friends than the Friends of the Library. So I just wanted to take a moment today on this Friday when we salute various individuals and organizations and the teamwork effort to salute the John C. Fremont Branch Library on their 75th anniversary of service in a beautifully restored library on Melrose at Jude Street, paid for by the people of Los Angeles in the great bond program that Mr. Deaton helped orchestrate as a member of the Legislative Analyst's Office, and all the people. So we salute the John C. Fremont Branch Library in the 75th anniversary.
Young ladies, please.
And Mr. President, members of council, you'll like this. None of the librarians want to speak. They just want to get back to the library and read and teach children to read. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Mr. Labange. Chair recognizes Mr. Rudy Thomas for our next presentation.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the council, I have two presentations with which I think you will be pleased and or impressed, and I would appreciate your attention. We are all acutely aware of the changes made across the nation due to the extraordinary security concerns after September 11th. As a matter of fact, we were reminded of them just this morning in an earlier presentation. The Information Technology and General Services Committee, with your concurrence, has initiated and caused to have implemented quite a few changes to the security in the Civic Center of our city. Two of the people who helped implement those changes were on loan to the General Services Department from the Los Angeles Police Department pursuant to the permission of Chief Parks. And they are now preparing to head back to their respective duties in the police department itself. And so we want to take this opportunity, Mr. President and members of the council, to express to these two representatives of the police department our thanks, our gratitude for their leadership in helping the General Services Department to provide those kinds of services and support to not only the council, not only to the mayor and our respective staffs, but to the entirety of the employee base and those constituents in the Civic Center. And so it was over the last 9 months that Lieutenant John Encanto was dedicated to his task as he served as the director of the Security Services Division, and has been a role model to and for the officers in the General Services Department, while providing them with unparalleled leadership. He is a 23-year veteran of the Los Angeles Police Department, where he has considerable tactical operations, SWAT, and auditing experience. And now, as he heads back to the department, we want to thank him for being instrumental in overhauling the division's operational procedures, implementing security improvements, and ensuring that the city's security forces were properly prepared and trained to respond to critical incidents. His work has been invaluable. And so when he returns to the police department, he will serve as the mounted unit platoon leader of what we now recognize as the prestigious Metropolitan Division. And so it's my honor to thank Lieutenant John Encanto for the work that he has done and present him with this resolution. Lieutenant? Allow you to have a few words in just a moment. Additionally, Mr. President, members of the council, Officer Daniel Gomez is a 9-year veteran of the police department who has served as a narcotics expert, firearms expert, and instructor, and the adjutant for the commanding officer of the juvenile division. His duties over the last several months have been to conduct an audit of the division's operation, assess risk management issues, revise the department's use of force policy, and ensure the city's security forces were properly trained to respond to critical incidents. As Officer Gomez returns to the police department, he will take on additional responsibilities as a member of the administrative section of the Central Community Police Station. This is largely due in recognition of his outstanding efforts while on loan to the General Services Department. So, Officer Gomez, we wish to thank you for your contribution as well. I'm going to, another piece we'll do with them. Stand down. Mr. President, Mr. Muckery will probably wish to have a few remarks, and then we'll be able to conclude with this portion of our presentation. The General Manager of the Department, John Muckery.
Before we hear from Mr. Muckery, Mr. Zine wishes to say a few words.
Thank you, Mr. President, colleagues. John Encanto, the legendary lieutenant from the mounted unit, with your partner, Officer Gomez, who came in under very troubled times. A lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, going from the operation that you led over there with the mounted unit into commanding this operation, and the sensitivity involved, and how you brought it together in the skillful fashion, in a proper fashion, in a professional fashion. I need to commend you for that. And I know the police department recognizes your talents, your experience, because you are on that unique list. You have one bar which makes you a lieutenant, but that list that was just published is going to afford you the other bar, so you're going to be promoted shortly to captain of police with the Los Angeles Police Department. Well deserved for your dedication and service to the people of Los Angeles. I just want to personally commend you. I know we've had some issues on security we brought to your attention. You jumped on them quickly and resolved them. I know John Muckery has been instrumental in keeping this whole thing together, and serving on the committee with Councilmember Ridley Thomas, Information Technology General Services, comes under our jurisdiction to make sure things run smooth. So you and Officer Gomez did a great job. I know you're going to like going back to the horses as I talk about the dog and pony show sometimes, and I know that you're going to lead those troops commendable as you always have. And then in the very near future, a new command as a captain of police with the police department. So congratulations to you. Congratulations, Officer Gomez, for what you both did. to maintain our security here at City Hall. We do appreciate it. Thank you both very, very much.
Thank you,
Mr.
Councilman
Labange.
Zion. I want to thank
John,
Councilman...
before you do that, please, Mr. President, I just wanted to say that, congratulate to all of you, and I know see, things happen for a reason. See, I brought my book down but for the saluting the librarians, but also John Nkondi and his teammates gave this to me in 1975 when he was a member of the John Marshall High School varsity football team, which I coached. So the world is very small when we work together, and I'm just honored that one of the great barristers from John Marshall High, hanging in my office, I brought it down there, Mark. And we go back too, Mark. I got something here from Tom Bradley, me and you know.
But please don't show it, whatever it is.
But I'm just proud of that there was obviously when there's tragedy that we call people to step in and do great things for us. And certainly as members of the Los Angeles Police Department working with General Services and all our security with General Services who have risen to the cause here and all has helped out. So I'm just proud of you, John, as a former coach and as a graduate of John Marshall High. Thank you.
Mr. Holden.
Oh, yeah, just add to the compliments, well deserved. Mr. Thomas brought in this motion that we probably would have overlooked, but the fact of the matter is at a time when your services was needed here and people like you around the country and around the world to protect and to serve us, especially here in City Hall, you were there for us. You did, with your expert training and experience, you performed well, and the men and women underneath you at your command did so serve us well also. And certainly we're still here today and didn't have to be that way, but we thank you for it very, very much, and we're going to miss you. We want the police department to remain intact in that position. This is the best police department in the United States of America, in my view, and we need to spread them around. Now, if you're going to go back to where you are, is their gain, our loss, but you're close as the telephone call, and we'll make that call, be assured of it.
And if you want to come back, we streamline the process.
Thank you, council members. When September 11th happened, it was a tragedy to everybody, and there was a lot of unknowns. But one thing that we did know is that we needed strong security within the Civic Center and within the outlying areas. The evening of September 11th, I talked with the then chief of police, and I told him I had a problem. I had a problem in executive leadership within my security services due to my security chief at the time went out on extended sick time. I asked then Chief of Police Parks if he could help me. Without batting an eye, he said he'd give me a call. Later on that evening, it must have been about midnight, he called me up and he said, I have somebody for you. Commander Leap's not going to be happy, but he's the best gentleman that I have, best officer. The next day, John Incontro came into my office to report to duty, and he never looked back. You have to know something about people in civic duty. You have many people that come up here to take many awards all the time. John is not one of them. In fact, if he had his druthers, I doubt if he would want to be here today any more than Dan, or if we could have Ray here. These are the type of individuals that come in and do 24-hour day jobs 7 days a week, and the only satisfaction they get is out of doing a hard job well. I'm going to miss John Incontro because he brought in the pride and professionalism we desperately needed at the time. But I also know John caused me many problems. I went to Italy, and John's Italian. His name is Incontro. When I asked for a bill, I always said, can I have Il Incontro instead of Incanto? And I want you to know that I had many strange, and I figured you're going to pop out of the woodwork. I never got a bill, but I'll never forget John, and you did just a fantastic job. Dan, we needed Dan there too, and Ray came and he just did a fantastic job to bring back General Services Security, and we're going to miss him. I also have a commitment now from Chief Pomeroy, and he sent to us, Joel, are you here? Is Joel here? I want to introduce Joel. He's the new John Incontro. He's going to come in and take up where John left off, but I'm going to miss you, John. Thank you, sir. And I asked John, I said, when you have a bad day, how do you get out of a bad day? Because I have many bad days. He says, well, I get on my horse and I ride to the park, and I just spend time there. I hope we don't see you in many parks, John, but I know you've done a fine job. I want to thank you. I want to thank you. And if Ray were here, I'd say the same thing. And I specifically want to thank you, council member, for recognizing your fine job.
Good, thank you. Members of the council, Lieutenant John Incontro.
Mr. President, and City Council, other members of city government, and the public that is here with us today, thank you very much. I was asked to do something. I tried to do my best. I think I'm a representative of any and all employees, sworn and civilian, in the Los Angeles Police Department. Any one of us could have come and done as good a job as I could have. But I couldn't have done it without the support of the council, of Mr. Muckery, General Services, the men and women of General Services Security Services Division. They have good hearts and they have a strong desire to do the best and serve the city and the public at large. So thank you very much. I appreciate this honor greatly.
Members of the council, Mr. President, we thank you for this opportunity. I afforded Officer Gomez the opportunity to speak, and he politely said, "No, thank you, sir." So let's give him a big round of applause. So, yeah. Now, Mr. President and members of the council, may I please bring forward for you to give a warm welcome to the 2002 South Los Angeles Martin Luther King Little League All-Stars. Bring them forward, will you? This past season, these talented players from Los Angeles' first official Little League franchise battled their way through a challenging season and proved their athletic merit by being selected as All-Stars, the very best that the league has to offer, and afforded the opportunity to represent their league and the entire South Los Angeles community. This group was selected to finish last. They demonstrated their athletic prowess and strong determination by coming in second in the Little League's California District 25 All-Star Tournament. This is truly, you ought to give them a big round of applause. I tell you, this is particularly impressive because they've been in business, that is, this formation of the Little League has been in business less than 5 years, and they pushed all the way forward to this very point. And I should mention that this group of ball players are the first group that has fostered solely through the efforts of the South Los Angeles Martin Luther King Little League system, and so they've raised the bar for others who are participating in this Little League. And the city of Los Angeles is grateful to you young people and the coaches for your efforts, and we celebrate your achievements. And we also should take the opportunity, Mr. President and members of the council, to recognize their coaches. That is Manuel Yamas Sr. Give Manuel a big round of applause, won't you? That is Frank Valenzuela and Rafael Articos. Give them a big round of applause. And the president of the South Los Angeles Martin Luther King Little League, Fred Thomas, for being all community partners. And I think this is an extraordinary effort. and your efforts on and off the field will continue to make our community proud and a special place in which to learn the craft and skill of playing baseball. And we're going to make these presentations, but before doing so, we're going to ask the president of the league, Fred Thomas, if he would come forward for remarks. Fred?
Thank you, Councilman. Mayor and members of the council, we thank you for recognizing this effort. I just want to share briefly that 10 years ago, this community in our great city was in flames and turmoil, and through the vision and support of the entire city, but in particular our councilman, Mark Ridley Thomas, he saw a way that there ought to be a Little League franchise in Los Angeles. And while many have come behind us, we take great pride because, as he indicated, in a record time, these young people have demonstrated what sports can do as far as youth intervention and as far as making our community a place that we all ought to be proud of. So we thank you for the recognition, and we ask your prayers and blessings as we go forward. Thank you. Let's have Coach Yamas just real quickly.
All right, Coach Yamas, if you'd be kind enough to come forward and speak. Sir?
Thank you, Mr. President, City Council members. It's an honor to be here, and I would like to thank you on behalf of our All-Star Little League team, and we will continue to make you guys proud of the City of Los Angeles. Thank you again.
And now we want to recognize the family and friends and the cheerleaders and the team. Why don't you stand so we can give you a big round of applause? They are the rooting team, and that's what makes the big difference. And so, Mr. President, members of the council, we're going to do our further presentations and give these young people their certificates in the media room. If any of you would wish to meet and or greet these future baseball players and get your autographs early, you will be invited to do so. And then we're going to treat them to a lovely lunch on the fourth floor, and so that we cause them to know that we appreciate them, we affirm them, and we're going to go all the way with them. Thank you very much. Give them another big round of applause.
Thank you, Mr. Rudy Thomas. Next, the chair recognizes Ms. Sikowski.
Can I ask the people here from the Japanese Garden to come forward? Mr. President, members of the council, as we've recognized today heroes, I'm going to be joined by Councilmember Ruth Galanter as well. We recognize heroes and folks in the city who have made an important change. Today we're recognizing a special treasure, a treasure both in a physical plant and a treasure in terms of the people who help operate it. This is a treasure in the city of Los Angeles, which just recently received recognition, national recognition. A congressional certificate of recognition was signed in Congress and presented to this group of people. It was represented by Jean Green, who is the manager of the Japanese Garden, a spot in the San Fernando Valley in the city of Los Angeles that has been operated by the Department of Public Works. It is a special oasis in our city. It is a beautiful spot. I know every year at the end of the year and the beginning of the year we get a number of calendars. And I dare say that the most beautiful calendar that we get is the calendar put out by the Japanese Garden, which shows pictures of serenity, calm, tranquility, and beauty in the city of Los Angeles, in the San Fernando Valley, at this Japanese Garden. It was constructed between 1980 and 1983, and it was created by a renowned Japanese garden designer, Dr. Koichi Kawana, and it is fashioned after the famous Japanese gardens in Japan. In this small spot that is based on reclaimed water from the Donald C. Tillman reclamation plant, it is a spot where you can hear bubbling brooks and water going through a little rougher passage. You can see tranquil, very quiet water. You have desert environment, all in this one spot. You literally can be there and be away from the urban city, urban life, and reclaim some of your own human tranquility. This garden is a wonderful retreat of beauty that is open to visitors. It is available for people to have programs there. It's a model of community service and participation because it was really done literally as an adjunct to what was the major water reclamation plant dealing with sewage that comes through the city. And to take that element and make such a place of beauty, a spot of beauty that is served over these 20 years remarkably well. And it is served not only by Jean Green, who is its manager, but around us are the other employees from the Department of Public Works, but more importantly, the community who has claimed this garden as its own and provide amazing docent training, docent participation. I think we are joined here by some of the docents today who recognize and participate day in and day out in this wonderful spot. And I know they all gain something from it, but we gain immeasurably in the city of Los Angeles, in our community by what they do. And I was just very pleased today and to be joined by Councilwoman Galanter, whose district this is now in, to commend all the employees and those who participate, particularly the citizen volunteers and the docents, for making this outstanding contribution to this wonderful spot in the city of Los Angeles that is open to all in our city. So, Jean, congratulations. But before you speak, I think I'm going to turn it over to Ruth.
Thank you, Cindy. This is one of our handoff deals that we're going to be doing a lot of here. I am thrilled to have the Japanese garden in my new district, or to be its new representative, depending on your point of view, for a number of reasons. As Cindy said, this is an example not only of a wonderful and beautiful place, and a place that allows for and encourages community involvement, but it's also an example that the city has a lot of, but we don't mention them often enough. It's an example of taking something that people don't know what to do with and think is ugly, and transforming it, dare I say it, recycling it, into something that is an asset to the community and is also an example of the kinds of landscaping that anybody can do using water that you can pump from one place to another. We have a gray water ordinance in the city. We have reclaimed water in various parts of the city. We use it for our parks and our golf courses. This is what you can get with reclaimed water. And for people who have not been there, it's always a surprise when people see it for the first time, because you tell them this is a good thing to do with your visiting friends from other parts of the country. You tell them you're going to take them out to see a sewage treatment plant and walk them into the Japanese garden, and people really love it, as they should. I would bet you that there are large numbers of people throughout Los Angeles, even in the San Fernando Valley, who have never seen this. And if you have the opportunity to go, we have wonderful docents who are very proud of the place, and justifiably so, and would be happy to share their knowledge. And so I too, Jean, and others want to congratulate you on the award. I want to congratulate you just on every day keeping this place alive and well and letting people know about it.
Well, before we hear from him, Mr. Labange.
Thank you very much. Those were wonderful words, Councilmember Galanter and Councilmember Misakowski. I spent some time out at that beautiful facility at the Japanese Garden, but I wanted to take this opportunity just to thank many of the city employees who I know there, but also we have a very special member of the city family that I don't know if you were going to introduce, and I don't want to steal it, but I'm going to, because he didn't, but our own Gail Weingart, her mother is one of the great docents, and she's in back, and I've met her before, so I wanted to make sure she got up in front, because Gail's usually sitting right there as the city attorney. There's nothing like mothers. All right. Ms. Weingart, thank you for letting me do that, Cindy.
Gracias por permitirme hacer esto, Cindy. Muchas gracias.
Council members, council, I'm only standing here because I've had the opportunity to have great support from the City of Los Angeles, the Bureau of Sanitation, a lot of volunteers, great staff, and I'm very, very lucky to be where I am today. I'm proud to accept this award for myself and the Bureau of Sanitation. It is really, I have the best job in the City of Los Angeles, period. I tell everybody I see that because it it is the
ciudad. Le
truth.
digo a todo el mundo
It's nice and
esto porque
rewarding
es la
to see
verdad.
the
Es
public come out there to benefit from
un
something it
gran
owns.
placer
Early on in my
tener un
career
lugar
in
que
engineering,
beneficia
we
a todo el
built
mundo
it
por
and we want to keep people
algo
out. This one was made to
que
have people come in and
se ha hecho
enjoy.
para que las
You have to
personas
see it. It's
disfruten.
one of the
Tienen que
jewels of
ver,
Los
es una de las
Angeles.
joyas de Los
It's the
Ángeles.
best kept
Es
secret
el
of Los
secreto
Angeles.
mejor
I hope you
mantenido de
have
Los
it more
Ángeles.
well known.
Espero que este
I
sea
want to
más
first thank people
reconocido. Quiero
behind
también
me,
agradecer a las personas
staff,
tras mí,
Patrick,
al nombre
Melanie,
personal,
Lori,
a Patrick,
a wife and
Lori,
daughter
mi
who
esposa y
is
mi hija.
waiting for the time to be
Está
here and kind of
esperando
scared,
aquí.
but
Tienen
it's
un
nice to be
poco
here
de
in
miedo, pero nos
council
da mucho gusto estar
today
aquí en el
to
ayuntamiento
accept
de hoy
this.
para
I really
aceptar esto.
appreciate
Me da
it personally for
mucho
myself.
placer, lo aprecio
This
bastante.
recognition
Este
is something
reconocimiento
that
es
just
algo que
surprised me.
me
It's nice to
sorprendió.
be surprised and be
Me da mucho
recognized. Thank you
gusto
very much.
recibir esa sorpresa y recibir ese reconocimiento. Muchas gracias.
Congratulations. Let's go back and get some pictures.
Thank you very much. Chair recognizes Mr. Reyes for an introduction.
Señor Reyes, para una introducción, presentación.
Council members, I'd like
Gracias,
to
me gustaría
welcome
darle la bienvenida
licenciado
al licenciado
Carlos Alberto Rivas
Carlos
Zamora,
Alberto Rivas
Síndico
Zamora,
Municipal, City
del
Attorney of the City of
fiscal
Salvador,
municipal
former
de
Salvador, who's accompanied by his
Salvador,
wife,
Salvador. Él
Sylvia,
viene
and
aquí
daughter.
con su esposa Silvia y su hija.
They're here visiting
Están
Los
aquí
Angeles to
visitando Los
commemorate
Ángeles
Las
para
Fiestas Agostinos,
conmemorar las
being celebrated this weekend
fiestas
in the
agustinas,
city of LA
celebrando
by the Salvadoran
más celebrar
community.
este fin de semana en la
Bienvenidos,
comunidad
gracias por
salvadoreña.
venir,
Bienvenidos,
visitar Los
muchas gracias
Ángeles,
por
y ojalá
venir y
que
visitar Los
gozamos
Ángeles.
de
Espero
estas
que
festividades.
gocen estas festividades.
Gracias.
Muchas gracias.
Okay. Next, the chair recognizes Ms. Galanter
Señora Galanter,
for a presentation, and while she's coming up, Mr. LeBlanc for a brief introduction.
A quick hello and a greeting from North Carolina, the better state, which is your state of South Carolina, as you would say, Judy Everett. Please welcome Judy Everett from South Carolina and his sister Sherry Camarillo, who lives in the San Fernando Valley. Rise and be recognized by the Los Angeles City Council.
Ms. Galanter.
Now?
Señora Galanter.
Thank you, Mr.
Muchas gracias,
President.
señor presidente.
It's been a long morning,
Es
and
una mañana bastante
morning
larga.
anymore.
Ya no es mañana, ya es tarde.
but I do have a presentation today as we're thanking city employees and people who've helped us out in many ways, volunteers. I want to thank someone who is a combination of both. James Perez has been an intern in my office since April 15th, Tax Day. He celebrated Tax Day by coming to work for the 6th District Council office, and he's helped us with a number of assignments, from researching issues to following stories that we need to keep up with in different publications. And as you know, between April 15th and now, we've covered a lot of territory in the 6th District, everything from the South Bay and the harbor to Sun Valley in the San Fernando Valley. And James has helped us follow it all, keep track of things that we needed to know. He's helped with distributing press releases and putting together our email newsletters and our regular newsletter. But having graduated from USC with a degree in public policy and management, I see a USC fan up there. He is going to be attending NYU Law School in the fall, and so we are reluctantly about to say farewell to him, and I wanted to take this opportunity for all of us to ask you to join me in acknowledging the fine work that James has done for us. And he's, I think, a splendid example of the opportunities that we can provide to students in this city and the opportunities for us in taking advantage of the energy and enthusiasm of these fine young people. So James, congratulations. I'm sorry you're leaving, but at least you're going to my hometown. So I hope you have a wonderful time in law school, and I thank you very much for all the work you have done for us here.
Muchas gracias por todo el gran trabajo que has hecho para todos nosotros.
I would just like to say that my experience with Ruth Galanter and Council District 6 has been invaluable, and I learned a lot. In particular, I'd like to thank Leah Wyman for giving me the opportunity to work with Councilwoman Galanter, and that's it. Thank you.
Gracias.
Good job. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Ms. Galanter. Next, the chair recognizes Mr. Pacheco for a presentation.
Señor Pacheco, para una presentación.
Mr. President, colleagues,
Presidente, colegas,
good afternoon.
buenas tardes.
Enjoy your lunch.
Disfruten su almuerzo.
I'm sure you're getting a nice serving of Filipino food today.
Yo sé que están disfrutando.
As you know,
esta
colleagues, the city of Los
comida
Angeles
riquísima
remains
filipina hoy. Como
proactive in promoting
Los
and maintaining a
Ángeles
harassment-free work environment.
proactivo.
We are responsible to ensure our city family of employees are educated and updated about behaviors that are either questionable or completely intolerable.
Los empleados de
Due
nuestra
to the
ciudad
collaborative effort of Mayor
involucrados
James Hahn, the Personnel Department, the Department of Recreation and Parks, and my office, the City of Los Angeles now has a custom-made videotape which will serve to raise employees' awareness in the workplace.
hemos desarrollado una cinta de
Each
video
city employee, each city department manager received a letter that all city employees must view the 20-minute video entitled Sexual Harassment Policy of the City of Los Angeles by November 15th. To expedite the showing, the departments will receive one copy for every 100 employees that they have. As you know, we are committed to creating a zero-tolerance work environment and address all sex discrimination, wrongdoings, and crimes from every facet. In fact, recently, I worked with Karen Wagner from the Los Angeles Police Foundation to assist our Los Angeles Police Departments in fighting domestic violence by providing them 2 digital cameras for each division to document crimes against women, specifically sex crimes and domestic violence. So we here in the City of Los Angeles have always preserved our integrity of protecting our employees and especially police departments working with their units to deal with domestic violence and sex crimes. So I want to commend 2 individuals, but before we get to them, I want to share with you that approximately 37 individuals worked on this project. So I want to thank all the city employees first for doing their part in providing this video and for their commitment to having a sexual harassment-free work environment. So first let me bring up Linda Lanier, Senior Personnel Analyst with the Personnel Department, and present her with a certificate of appreciation in recognition of her outstanding citizenship and activities enhancing our community. Linda Lanier is hereby awarded the Certificate of Appreciation for exemplary efforts and accomplishments which have been of great value to the community and to the City of Los Angeles. Let me also provide from the Department of Recreation and Parks, the Personnel Director, Harold Fujita, a Certificate of Appreciation for exemplary efforts and accomplishments which have been of great value to the community and to the City of Los Angeles. Harold.
Contribución a la comunidad de la ciudad de Los Ángeles.
All right. You guys are up. We're up. Harold? Oh, hey, Maggie. We also have with us the General Manager of the Personnel Department, Maggie Whalen. We will hear from Linda and Harold.
Después Linda y Harold darán una presentación.
Thank you very much. I'd just like to say on behalf of those of us from the Personnel Department that had an opportunity to work on this video that it was a very enjoyable and rewarding project, and hopefully as you all view the video and you see all the faces of those individuals that work for the City of Los Angeles, that you can be proud of us. Again, thank you very much.
Ustedes también se sentirán orgullosos de todos ellos. Muchas gracias.
President Padilla, distinguished council members, thank you very much for allowing us to receive this recognition this morning. When the Department of Recreation and Parks first considered production of this video in 2001, we had no idea of the unlocked talent that lay in our department. And we have some of our employees who are featured in the vignettes that you will see in this video with us today, and I'd like them to stand quickly and be recognized. And there are two employees that should receive special recognition, and they are Senior Staff Analyst Jim Avalos, who is with us here today. Jim, can you wave? And Julie Cottrell, who unfortunately could not be here today. But I also want to express great appreciation to the Personnel Department who joined us in this effort and collaborated to bring this great product into fruition. And I want to also pay special attention and commend the efforts of the great production staff of ITA. Thank you very much.
I'm sure all of the council offices will have their viewings by November 15th for their city employees. Simply ask that you refrain from anyone throwing anything to the screen as I do my 1.5-minute introduction of the video. So simply make sure you have this before anyone has food around them or anywhere near them. So don't make this a lunch viewing, please. But I just want to tell you that it was great, speaking for myself, to participate in this video, and obviously it's very important for us to have a sexual harassment work-free environment, and I do want to commend all the employees who did their best acting in the vignettes. Thank you, Mr. President and colleagues.
Thank you, Mr. Pacheco. And when you return from taking pictures in the back room, our next presentation will be you, Mr. Pacheco, Ms. Misikowski, Mr. Zine, and a representative of the City Attorney's Office, if they're here. Mr. Zine, Ms. Misikowski, front and center, please. Nora, let me turn it over to you.
And President Padilla, we're here to honor the Los Angeles County Friday Night Live Partnership, which is a program and as part of a statewide program that does a lot of skill building, leadership, anti-drug prevention, youth violence prevention type of program. And I'd like to turn it over to Barbara to say a few words about Friday Night Live.
Barbara.
Barbara Bloomberg.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much. President, City Council members, and all our friends here, and members of the Friday Night Live Partnership. This has really been quite a morning. All of us have had wonderful experience watching and hearing of all the great things that are going on in our city, and I just want to say that I am so happy and proud of our youth that are here today. This is a statewide program. We're in 54 counties. I'm so glad that we have youth that are absolutely committed to alcohol, tobacco, and other drug prevention in our city. These kids have values, integrity, and heart, and they really, really care about their friends and their parents, their families, and the community. So I just want to say thank you. And we have one spokesperson from our youth group who just wants to say a couple of words too. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Gisela Arisa, and I'm 16. I'm the co-chair of the Friday Night Live Youth Council, and we're very involved with the alcohol, tobacco, and other drug prevention issues in our schools and communities. In the name of the Friday Night Live Youth Council, I would like to thank Alex Padilla, Cindy Misikowski, and Dennis Zine for helping 6 of us attend Teamwork in March, where we presented the Cinco de Mayo con Orgullo educational workshop Here we got a chance to educate our peers in what the alcohol is really doing to our culture. So we're very thankful. Thank you.
The actions by Barbara Bloomberg, who was the founder of the Southern California Mothers Against Drunk Driving. I worked with Barbara for many, many years when she was with MAD, and she's moved on to the education program through the county. And when I was asked, along with Councilmember Misikowski and some of the other council members, to donate contributions, financial contributions, so the youth could go to Northern California to make the presentations, we were more than happy to do that. I went to one of the workshops where they were working on the project, and I saw them dealing with the issue of Cinco de Mayo and how Cinco de Mayo is connected with alcohol and how they wanted to break that myth, they wanted to break that connection. Also with the tobacco industry, how they want to show the youth that you don't have to smoke to be cool, you don't have to drink to be cool. You can be responsible, you can be educated, you can be prosperous without the intoxicants. So it was a pleasure to contribute the wonderful work that Barbara is doing and the other leaders in this organization, turning our youth in a positive direction from a negative direction. So congratulations, Barbara, to all the work you've done, and congratulations to all the students who were involved in the project. How many of you were at the school the day I went by? Any of you there when you were doing the Cinco de Mayo presentation? You were working on the project?
Yeah, there were about 10 kids.
There were 10. Are there any of them here today?
Yes, Kosara.
Okay, I remember you there.
Kosara.
There was some other. Were you there? Anyway, I went by to actually see them in working, and you were working adjacent to that hospital off of Sherman Way, Northridge Center for Healthy Community. So anyway, it was a hands-on program, and I'm glad we were able to participate and support. Keep up the good work. Stay away from booze. Stay away from cigarettes, and you'll be nice and tall and healthy and wealthy. Thank you all very much. Councilman Misikowski.
Thank you. I just want to join with the other council members and the city attorney in really congratulating the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Other Drug Youth Council. That's what we're seeing representatives here today. And the programs that are being mentioned that these young members participated in really came from them. Although Barbara is here coordinating with them, what they want to do, how they do it, and through their own words, how they both inspired me, and I was very willing and very happy to help support them to go to the conference in February, comes from them. It's peer respect, peer issues. Who can talk better to other youth and teens than their own members? And so these are the young kids today who bring these programs, come up with the ideas, we help fund them, but with that, they take off and do the great things. And that they came back with the Cinco de Mayo de Con Orgullo program, which says, let's take back this holiday in terms of what its significance means to us. And it doesn't mean just something that is another program to be sponsored for the sale of alcohol, the sale of tobacco. It really means something more to us, and we're gonna take that stand. And I was very impressed with that, coming from the words of these young people. And I think I'm very pleased to be here today to help support them with with their efforts and with the monies that the city is able to help fund through them, through the alcohol and tobacco funds that we get in the city of Los Angeles. So congratulations to all of you.
Mr. President, colleagues, I just wanted to, on behalf of my office, commend all the Bravo Medical Magnet students from Boyle Heights, that's where the school's located, for doing their part in educating teens and doing obviously all the prevention work, because as Dennis said, those usage of those I won't call them drugs, but I guess they're sanctioned drugs in this country, really does affect your health and your growth, and so I want to commend you all for working very hard on this.
We have a couple more speakers, since this will probably be the last presentation for today, so we have a couple more speakers. Don't be shy.
Thank you, Mr. Zine. There is another presentation, but please proceed.
Okay, hello. My name is Brandon Nakam. I'm a teacher at Bravo Medical Magnet. And I just got to say about these young people is that one of the things this city needs is young people that will step forward and get the job done. Last time that I was here to speak about the tobacco licensing ordinance that was passed. And a number of these young people were the ones that actually went to the liquor stores and the donut shops and the gas stations and tried to purchase cigarettes in the city. What we found out was that close to 50% of the stores in this city sold to these children. And this is one of the reasons why we got that ordinance passed. And I'd like to condemn them, not condemn them, but commend them. Condemn the stores.
Thank you very much
for their efforts. Thank you.
All right, anybody else? And we have presentations, certificates for all of you, and we'll do some photos in the back. Congratulations again.
Give them another big round of applause, won't you? Thank you very much, Mr. Zine, Mr. Pacheco, Ms. Misakowski, and our special guest today.
Superman? Is Superman?
Members of the council, for our final presentation today, we bring to the podium Councilman Alejandro Padilla.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I figure after, 9 months of meetings and hearings and the redistricting process, another 2.5 hours is nothing, right? My next presentation, members of the council, is someone that you all recognize and I'm sure worked with in the last several months, in that one function and responsibility and requirement that our charter and constitution calls for at least once every 10 years, and that is for us to undergo a redistricting process. After the census, we go through a redistricting process to balance out the populations. But we know it's much more complex than that. It's when we all get territorial about the neighborhoods we love to serve. It's when we try to adjust districts and boundaries to meet not only different demographic changes and population changes, but political changes as well. And there was a gentleman working behind the scenes with each and every step of the way, from commissions to the committees to the full council, looking at not just the data, but looking at the technology and looking at the various interests and requests, including, first and foremost, those of the community. Someone who's been with the city for a few cycles now, so we're talking 20, 30 years and ongoing. He's an expert from a technical perspective, but one that I think, David, you really know how to handle both the data and the personalities, and not too many people can do that. So we want to take this opportunity to present to you a formal certificate of commendation to David Ely on behalf of the council and the mayor, and to thank you for all the work that you did this redistricting cycle and in the past, and we know that in 10 years you'll be just a phone call away to help guide us through it one more time. Thank you, David.
All right, the one and only Dr. David Ely.
You shied away from testifying at commissions, but this is your moment in the sun.
My son told me I should tell my Opal story, but I won't do that. I just want to thank everybody for putting up with me and my harassing you all the time for this period. I especially want to thank the CLA's office and John Wickham for their assistance in everything that went on. And I'd like to thank my family for putting up with my absences for long periods of time. So I brought them with me today.
Yeah, nice. Give him a hand. Now, before you step aside, Dr. Ely, the inimitable Jack Rice would choose to share words of wisdom.
Thank you, the inimitable.
That would be true.
Mr. Ridley Thomas.
The inscrutable.
Mr. Ely, I'm so glad that you're here today with your family. I just want to thank you on behalf of Miriam and my staff for all the many hours you spent with us during the redistricting process. I learned so much from you. That was a wonderful experience, and to think that, look at Mr. Butch. It is amazing to me that you actually are willing and eager to go through that more than once every 10 years. It's unbelievable. But thank you for everything. Thank you for everything you did as a mentor and a teacher, and thank you for the service you provided to everyone in this city. We'll miss you.
Thank Thank you, Mr. Weiss. Mr. Laban wishes to be heard, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just wanted to thank Dave for all his work and also your work 10 years ago. But your hair is still as pretty as can be, nice as long, which is nice to see. I know someone was making fun of my hair today. You know, I don't know, somebody was, but that's all right. But David's still hair is good, and so with all that stress and trauma and doing the work you do, you did it right. And your family, too. He's a good young photographer over there, so it's good to see him doing that work. And it was also somewhat ironic, Mr. President, that we had Jerry Rosario in this morning, the map maker, who did all your maps there from our celebration that Eric had earlier for the Filipino community. So congratulations to you, David, and your family for the help that you give us doing the right thing. Thank you very much.
Mr. Laban's now Ms. Perry.
Dave, I had the pleasure of working with you on the census and redistricting, a pretty horrifying combination, but I think you've done 2 of those, am I right? 2 redistricting census combinations? Yeah. So if you get to do one more. 3? Okay, this will be the 3rd one. Well, many people haven't survived that one. I know very few who have done 4. But I just want to say thank you in your very quiet, unassuming way. I think you through information and education, you are able to bring peace to all of us. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else wishing to be heard at this point?
David.
The chair recognizes Mr. Holden. Mr. Holden.
David. Bye.
Mr. Chair, let the record reflect that's because Mr. Holden is term limited out, not because Mr. Ely is term limited out.
Well, that's what I was speaking of. You know, I won't be around the next 10 years to cause you where any grief will be caused at all, you know, on anybody's part. And I want you to know that, you know, a guy in your position will get in, you know, nobody's going to give you any satisfaction. Congratulations, no matter what you do, no matter how well you do it. But let's put it this way, that you lived through it. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Holden. Mr. Ely, Dr. Ely, we appreciate your assistance, and I think I expressed the sentiment of the entirety of the council. Mr. Deaton, we thank you for your support in that connection as well. I think that essentially handles all of the presentations for the day. Madam Clerk, the balance of the agenda.
Item number 4 was called special by Councilmember Zine, and there are 2 reports on the file.
Thank you very much. Item number 4 is before us, members of the council. Mr. Zine, if you would press your button,
I'll press my button.
Thank you.
Thank you. The questions I have can probably be answered by staff, and you are staff. Also, we have a captain here from LAPD. The LAPD revolving training fund. The question is, who's eligible, how's the money spent, what it's used for, and I know there's $1.5 million that in the fund. Does it help with education on the job, off the job? Does it help with officer who wants to go to college? Does it apply to all ranks? If you can explain the purpose of the program and how the money is spent.
Yes, I'd be happy to. Mr. President, honorable council members, I'm Captain William Sutton. I'm the commanding officer of Continuing Education Division for the Los Angeles Police Department. The issue, a brief overview of the revolving training fund. The monies are designated for 3 general purposes. First being the payment of travel, per diem, and tuition related to post and non-post certified training. And of course, post is the state police officer standards and training that regulates training for law enforcement agencies in the state of California. Secondly, for expenses and equipment directly related to the delivery of training within the department. And lastly, for short-term rental of training facilities, which in actuality is used very, very seldom within the department. The lion's share of that money goes to the payment of travel, per diem, and tuition-related post and non-post certified training. And that affects police officers from the moment they graduate from the police academy on throughout their career, any training that they wish to go to. A request for travel authority is submitted. There has to be a justification for the training, and if there's travel involved, for the travel. To give you an example of, recently we sent a member of our bomb squad to Jerusalem to participate with the Israeli officials there and observe firsthand and close up how those officials deal with the issue of suicide bombers. That's an example, and maybe an extreme example of some of the training that's involved, but it's open and available to all ranks, from police officer, detective, sergeant, lieutenant, on up into the command officers. It's available to them as well. In addition, you mentioned about college affiliation. We have a college reimbursement program so that, and that what I talked to about before refers to mostly job-related on-duty type of training. We also realize the value of people continuing the formal academic education, and the college reimbursement program is part of the revolving training fund. That's where officers, as sworn and civilian members of the department of any rank, can continue the formal academic training at a recognized college or university and get reimbursement for their tuition. So it affects both their on-duty performance and also their off-duty enhancement, which the department believes makes them better and more productive police officers.
Does the fund have sufficient dollars to fund the programs, and do they expend the funds annually? Or is there ever a surplus?
There is, for example, the last fiscal year, since I've come to Continuing Education Division January of this year, we did not spend each and every dime of the money. There was a surplus. And part of the request for the change to amend the ordinance is that additional monies, traditionally it was when the fund was formed, anything over $1 million was to go into the general fund. Now the request for the amendment to reflect what is in effect already and was approved by the council is that cap be raised to $1.5 million.
Okay, thank you. Does and you're from what department?
City Attorney.
City Attorney's Office. There was a question regarding training by the City Attorney of officers. If the City Attorney would train officers, search and seizure, things such as that, would that come out of that fund, or would that just be the general purpose funds from the city?
The City Attorney provides various training to any of our city departments free of charge. It's part of our duties to provide legal advice to the city department, so we would just treat it as part of our duties.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zine. Seeing no other members wishing to be heard, Madam Clerk, please open the roll. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That is approved. Next item, please. Actually, before taking the next item called special, we have received a request by Councilmember Hahn to take a special out of order. We do have, I believe, a special one that's been circulated.
Okay. Yes, Mr. President, it has been.
I'd like to recognize the City Attorney on the findings.
Mr. President, members, this is a motion from Councilmember Hahn. In order for you to consider this motion, there has to be a finding made by the council that there is a need to take immediate action on this matter, and that the need to take this action came to the attention of the council subsequent to the posting of today's City Council agenda. I believe Mrs. Hahn is going to speak to the findings.
Ms. Hahn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, as you have been aware, we have a very serious healthcare crisis in Los Angeles. I would like us to submit our position to the State Assembly on the fact that we would like them to pass the Senate version of the budget, which restores the funding for the health care system in Los Angeles County. The reason I'm bringing it up as a Rule 23 is that I was just informed that the Senate is reconvening after they have already been recessed on Monday, along with the State Assembly, to try to negotiate and pass this budget. If I did a Rule 16, we might not take it up till Wednesday or Friday, and then it would be too late for our position to be made known at the state level. So I think the findings are there that we take it up today so that by Monday they will have our position transmitted to them.
Mr. Holden on the findings.
Mr. President, members, that's absolutely correct that the Assembly, the Senate already passed their version of the budget. It's been sitting in the Assembly for some time. It's still deal with politics only. We have a substantial majority, nearly all of the Democrats, prepared to vote for the budget, but every year the problems develop when one party in power hijacks the budget and won't adopt it because of the other party out of power and they making other demands. But as what happened in Washington, D.C., when Gingrich shut down the federal government, it backfired on his party and they lost substantially representation in the House. And we want to urge the members of both parties that this is a bipartisan, should be a nonpartisan issue, and they should vote for the budget so that the state can get back on the doing business. For the people of the state of California, of course, it kind of spreads around. I would say that this is one issue that they can no longer play politics with. And they are going to be meeting Monday, and on the matter of whether or not we should hear it, I will speak to that issue and say, yes, absolutely we should hear it. I will be in Sacramento on Monday, not as an announcement, but the Assembly and the Senate decide they want to honor Nate Holden and Alquist in Sacramento, and I'll be there to say, if you honor me by voting for this budget, and that's exactly what I would say. And I urge you to support this motion being introduced by Ms. Hahn.
Other members wishing to be heard on the findings? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please open the roll on the findings. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is approved. Special one now before us on the motion itself. Ms. Hahn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, as I stated, we have a very serious healthcare crisis looming in Los Angeles County. If the Assembly does not pass the Senate's version of the budget, we face enormous cuts in hospital and medical care here in Los Angeles. One of the hospitals targeted to close in the South Bay is the UCLA Harbor Medical Center, which for the South Bay is the only trauma center in that particular area. If that was to close, the closest trauma center for residents in the South Bay, basically the majority of my district plus other surrounding cities, would be King Drew in Watts or over in Long Beach. And it has been relayed to me that the transporting of a serious trauma victim, even minutes, can make the difference between life and death. The other serious issue for those of us in the south part of Los Angeles, it's no secret that the Port of Los Angeles has been made known to be a possible terrorist attack. If that were to happen and that trauma center was no longer available to handle the massive amount of victims that could result from that, it would be such a disaster that no surrounding hospital would be able to pick up that kind of slack. So for my particular constituents, this is a very serious issue. The Senate's version of the budget restores, let me read this, restores $264 million for Los Angeles County-run facilities and $305 million for other health care programs within the county, such as Medi-Cal. It basically keeps the county health care system whole. This is a serious issue, and if it would be okay with my colleagues, with your permission, I would like to invite up Chief Bamatre, Dr. Robert Hochberger, and Nancy Carlson to testify on this issue. I know, but they've been here since 9.
Thank you, Councilwoman Hahn. This is a serious situation, and the Councilwoman portrayed the impact that it's going to have. I'd just like to add to that through the support of the council over the last few years, we've gone from 65 ambulances to 98 in the city of Los Angeles, but that will be compromised if the trauma system isn't in a position to support that. Currently, we have 2 of our ambulances, the equivalent of 2 ambulances for 24 hours waiting for a hospital bed. If Harbor UCLA is taken out of the system, not only will it impact directly the 1,675 transports that we had last year, but by taking that hospital out, which is a primary site for Los Angeles County, which actually does more transports in that area, they would be offloaded to other hospitals that then would create a longer queue waiting for our ambulances. So this has a domino effect in the county, and we can't afford to continue to have the emergency rooms and the trauma centers closing down. We just had Marina Mercy and Marina Del Rey. I think we had a stay on that one for a little bit, but it's on its way out, and that has less of an impact, but Harbor UCLA would be a dramatic and drastic impact on our system here in Los Angeles. I would urge support for this initiative also.
Good morning. I'm Bob Hochberger, and I'm the physician and the director of emergency services down at Harbor UCLA Medical Center. And I should say that I'm not here on behalf of the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors to speak for DHS, but simply as a physician speaking for the physicians at Harbor. Our county healthcare system is almost on the verge of collapse. It's not hyperbole, it's simple fact. I want to talk only about Harbor, but I cannot emphasize enough that the cutbacks that are likely to be announced in October, if we don't have enough money in the system, go beyond the already announced closure of High Desert Hospital and many clinics to include the closure of Harbor and all of you, UCLA Medical Center, and significant cutbacks at the remaining county facilities. The county hospital system does 2 major things. It is an immense part of the trauma care system that safeguards the lives of every man, woman, and child in Los Angeles, and it provides care to the poor. 2.5 million out of the 10 million people in this county, so that this vulnerable population doesn't overwhelm the private healthcare sector. So coming back just to Harbor. The trauma center system is based on research that has shown if you take an injured person from the scene of their injury, and we're not talking about gunshot wounds to gang members, we're talking about automobile crashes that occur every day, industrial accidents and falls at home or at school. If we take those people from the scene of their injury and get them into the emergency department at the trauma center within 20 minutes, and in those instances when they need an operating room, to the operating room within 60 minutes of their injury, we can save lives. If we can't do that, people die needlessly. The trauma system in Los Angeles was originally developed around 22 strategically located hospitals that have now shrunk to only 13 hospitals that are all operating at maximum efficiency and capacity. If you were to remove Harbor UCLA Medical Center from the South Bay, 3 things would happen. First, there would be no trauma center in the South Bay. That means that people living in Palos Verdes, Torrance, and other cities in that area would have to be transported much further distances, either to King Drew Medical Center or to one of the trauma centers in Long Beach that are already, I mentioned, at peak capacity. Longer transport times, longer waits to get into the emergency department, longer waits to get into the operating room, and people will die. The second thing that will happen is that the South Bay will lose the only hospital capable of responding to a mass disaster, like an earthquake or a bioterrorist event. The private hospitals are great. It is only the large teaching hospitals that can amass hundreds of doctors within minutes to take care of hundreds, and if necessary, thousands of victims. We will have no hospital like that in the South Bay. And finally, last year, Harbor UCLA took care of 75,000 emergency department visits. 1 in 3 were admitted to the hospital. They're that sick. The majority have no health care insurance. If we are gone, all of these people have no recourse except to go to the private hospitals in our area that by law cannot turn them away. The waiting times could be 6, 8, or 10 hours. It would significantly impede everyone's ability, regardless of where you live and whether you have insurance or not, It would impede everyone's ability to get timely care in the case of a medical emergency. It is critical that the county, the state, and the federal government all do their part. Right now, the state really needs to step forward and not cut the health care services that they're providing.
I would like to in particular thank Councilwoman Hahn for this opportunity for us to come and speak with you today. You've already heard that we're not talking about pardon me? Oh, I'm sorry, Nancy Carlson. I'm the administrator for a little company, Mary San Pedro Hospital. It is a private, not-for-profit community hospital. The proposals that have come to the county supervisors for consideration all have drastic reductions in our public health system in the county. I want to tell you what that would mean to the public and the private sector. The private sector hospitals in these proposals are going to be told, not asked, told, to make up the slack for, in our example, 75,000 emergency department visits that go to Harbor UCLA in our area. In addition, there's other cuts throughout the county that will impact them. Private hospitals receive funding in three ways primarily. Off of our operations, we bill and collect for services. Currently, for almost all hospitals, what we bill and collect is absolutely inadequate to meet our costs. Secondly, we receive funding through fund drives, foundations, charitable donations. And thirdly, from investment income. I don't need to tell you where investment income has gone. We are not relying on investment income at this point in time to help us offset our operational losses. Foundation fundraising is also dropping for the same reason. Therefore, most hospitals, in fact, 66% of private hospitals in California are at an operating loss, and my hospital is no different. We're there for the community. Currently in our emergency department, we are now seeing 40% underinsured or uninsured visits in our emergency department this year. That's an enormous load of uncompensated or undercompensated care. We pull off of our reserves to make up for that, but those reserves are depleting, and that's true of most private community hospitals. We also rely on our private practicing physicians to support the emergency department call panel. Every time you go to an emergency department, if they need a consultant from a specialist, they rely on that physician call panel. In many cases, these are private practicing voluntary physicians. By voluntary, I mean they volunteer to be on that call panel. They are already so overwhelmed by having to take so much indigent or Medicaid uncompensated call that in fact it's impacting their private practices. And as you I'm sure hearing on the news, many physicians are refusing to take emergency call. It is an ongoing dialogue with us on a monthly basis on how we retain our call panel. For private hospitals to be expected to take on the additional burden of uncompensated care that would clearly happen is just not feasible. You need to understand what's being asked cannot be done. It's not for lack of desire. It's purely for lack of funding. We need the county public health system to thrive and be healthy. Our private hospitals can partner and support a healthy public health system. We cannot substitute for it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think you understand the severity of what faces us, but it's critical that we tell the state assembly that they must pass the Senate version of the budget that restores the critical money to make the LA County healthcare system whole.
Chair recognizes Mr. Holden. Mr. Holden passes, and I really thank Mr. Holden. Madam Clerk, please open the roll. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is approved. Forthwith on that item, please. Madam Clerk, I understand item number 6 is also still on the desk. Mr. Zine has had his questions answered and feels comfortable moving forward with the vote. Unless there's other members with questions or comments on item number 6, I would ask the clerk to please open the roll on item number 6. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is approved. Next item, please.
Next item, Mr. President, special 2, motion presented by Council President Padilla, seconded by Council Member Pacheco, and the City Attorney will explain the need to make the findings.
Mr. City Attorney.
Mr. Mr. President, members, this motion is brought forward by the council president. In order for the council to consider this motion, there's a necessity that findings be made that pursuant to the rules of the city council and the government code, that there is a need to take immediate action on this matter, and that the need to take action for this matter arose subsequent to the posting of today's city council agenda.
Members wishing to be heard on the findings? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please open the roll. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Special 2 now before us. Members wishing to be heard on the motion itself? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please open the roll. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is approved. Forthwith, please. Next item.
Next item, Mr. President, Special 3, motion presented by Councilmember Garcetti and seconded by Councilmember Gruhl, and the City Attorney will explain the need to make the findings.
Mr. City Attorney.
Mr. President, members, once again, there's a necessity that findings be made that pursuant to the provisions of the government code and rules of the City Council, that there is a need to take immediate action on this matter, and that the need to take this action arose subsequent to the posting of today's City Council agenda.
Members wishing to be heard on the findings? Seeing none, please open the roll. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Special 3 now before us. Members wishing to be heard on the motion itself? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please open the roll. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is approved. Forthwith, please, on Specials 2 and 3. Next item, please.
This is the time for comments from the public on items not on the council's agenda.
And seeing no requests, public comment period for today's meeting is closed. Next item.
Council has motions for posting and referring.
Those motions shall be posted and referred.
There are excuses on the desk. Councilmember Burnson requests to be excused for city business Wednesday, August 7th, to leave at 10:45. A motion is required.
Mr. Garcetti moves. Mr. Burnson is excused.
And Council President Padilla requests to be excused Friday, November 15th for personal business that meets council policy.
Shall be excused.
That clears the desk, Mr. President.
Are there any announcements? Members, any announcements? Activities this weekend? Ms. Hahn.
Announcement for Nate Holden. Well, quickly we forget. He just left. He wanted me to announce that this Sunday, August 4th, an afternoon with Congressman Henry Waxman from 2 to 5 at the home of Bennett Ramberg, 9548 Sawyer Street in Los Angeles. And it's going to be a policy discussion on can we achieve peace in the Middle East. So he wanted to invite everyone for that public policy discussion.
Other announcements? Ms. Gruhl?
Yes, just to note, several of us are going to attend tomorrow the Congress of Neighborhood Councils meeting tomorrow at in the San Fernando Valley at the Universal Sheraton. So hopefully all of you can participate in our neighborhood council discussion. So it's going to be a great day.
This was mandated by the city charter that all the neighborhood councils would meet at least once a year in a Congress. So it's happening.
Other announcements? Mr. Reyes.
Yes, I just want to inform my colleagues that we had our first plum out in the community regarding business development reform. We had a great turnout. I invite you to essentially participate in this process, talk about the issues of development and how we incorporate neighborhood councils and other stakeholders in our communities in terms of how we enhance our ability to invest in our city. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes. Other announcements? Before proceeding to adjourning motions, I would, it's not necessarily an announcement, but want to commend and pay tribute to law enforcement officials involved in yesterday's incident, which I think was the first test of our state's Amber Alert system. I'm sure we all woke up to the news of the 2 young women who were abducted in the Quartz Hill community, and it's a tribute to law enforcement personnel and the media in their ability to coordinate and respond to the activities. As I'm sure you all heard, it was yesterday afternoon when the 2 young women were finally located and rescued. But it's a new system in the state of California. It's developing itself nationwide, and I think it was a great example of how we're continuing to improve upon public safety in the state of California. I know Los Angeles Police Department and Los Angeles County Sheriffs were involved, and so we want to tip our hat to them as well. Please stand for adjourning motions. Adjourning tributes, Mr. Labange.
Thank you very much. Members, Norman Baker died. He was a composer with the Walt Disney Company, with Walt Disney, and one of his many tunes that he did was It's a Small, Small World. And he lived a full life to be 84, and he was very involved with the University of Southern California after his professional career with Disney, but the composers and the artists, and he left a tremendous mark on his word with the composition of It's a Small, Small World. And also, members, Mr. Holden asked that I adjourn in memory of Herbert C. Ward, who passed away on Friday, July 26th. He was 86 years old at the time of his passing. His life was very much involved with the civil rights movement and many of his activities. He was very involved with his mechanics union and the local on the national level. Mr. Ward also had the distinction of being the first African American to sit on the Department of Water and Power's Board of Commissioners. He is survived by his wife, Princess Skykes Ward, and we ask that we adjourn in his memory as someone very special.
Thank you, Mr. Labange. Ms. Perry.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I would like to adjourn in memory of Otis Christine Shaw. She was a resident of the 9th Council District for over 50 years, a founding member of the Council of Community Clubs, which founded the Block Club movement here in our city, member of the Board of Directors of the Council of Community Clubs, and in later years, she was appointed by Mayor Bradley to the City of Los Angeles Human Relations Commission. She was a founding member of Southwest College, past president of the 10th District Parent-Teacher Association, past president of the Welfare Planning Council, and she served over 20 years as a board member of the Southeast Symphony Association. She has one son. His name is Michael Shaw, and he is a senior management analyst in the City of Los Angeles' Community Development Department.
Thank you, Ms. Perry. Other tributes? Madam Clerk, please call the roll. Thank you all very much. This meeting is adjourned.